In the quiet stillness of a forested village, just as the first rays of dawn break through the trees, Kaela uncovers a secret that has been hidden for generations. Tucked away in her late grandfather's journal, she finds an ancient map, its edges worn and its surface etched with mysterious symbols. The map whispers of a place long forgotten, the Enchanted Realms, home to the fabled lost city of Elven wonders. But this isn't just any discovery. It's a doorway into her family's past, one she never knew existed. What if this map holds answers not only to the mysteries of the realms, but also to her own history? As Kaela sets off on her journey, leaving behind the familiarity of her village, she feels the weight of what lies ahead. Yet, she can't shake the unsettling sensation that she's being watched. Forces unseen, both human and otherworldly, seem to be closing in, drawn by the map's allure and the secrets it promises to reveal. And then there's the question that haunts her every step. Who else knows about her grandfather's legacy, and what do they want with it? But here's the twist. This isn't just a solo adventure. Along the way, Kaela will meet someone she least expects, an ally whose intentions may not be entirely clear. Together, they'll face challenges neither could have anticipated, all while unraveling the threads of a story far greater than either of them imagined. Are you ready to join Kaela as she steps into the unknown, where danger lurks around every corner and the truth is never straightforward? Because in the Enchanted Realms, nothing is as it seems, and this journey will change everything. The forest seemed endless, its towering trees forming a canopy that filtered the sunlight into soft, golden beams. Kaela's footsteps echoed faintly against the underbrush as she pressed forward, her mind racing with questions about the mysterious map she had uncovered. But then, just as she paused to examine a series of cryptic symbols etched into the bark of an ancient oak, a figure stepped silently from the shadows. Lirien, an enigmatic elven wanderer with piercing silver eyes, emerged without a sound, his presence both calming and unsettling, looking for something. His voice was smooth, carrying a trace of amusement, but also a note of caution. Kaela stiffened, her hand instinctively reaching for the hilt of her dagger. "Who are you?" she demanded, suspicion flickering in her gaze. Lirien merely smiled, not the smile of a friend, but one tinged with challenge. Instead of answering directly, he gestured toward the map, clutched tightly in Kaela's hand. "That," he said quietly, "is more important than even you realize." What followed was a tense exchange filled with probing questions and guarded responses. Lirien spoke of the map's origins, hinting at its connection to a forgotten era of magic and wonder. But it wasn't until he revealed a fragment of an ancient prophecy, a prophecy tied to the lost city itself, that Kaela reluctantly agreed to join him. Their alliance was uneasy, born of necessity rather than trust. Still, as they moved deeper into the forest, Kaela couldn't help but be drawn to Lyrian's quiet confidence and seemingly boundless knowledge. Days passed, and despite her lingering wariness, Kaela found herself learning from Lyrian's wisdom. He shared stories of the elves' golden age, speaking of a time when the lost city had been a beacon of enlightenment, where knowledge and power flowed like rivers. Yet, beneath his tales lay a gravity that hinted at deeper truths, a sense that their journey was not merely a quest for discovery, but perhaps a test of destiny. As they prepared to cross a perilous river, Kaela noticed something unusual. Nearby, half buried in moss, stood a weathered stone bearing peculiar markings. They glowed faintly under the moonlight, almost as if alive. With growing curiosity, Kaela approached, brushing away the debris to reveal intricate patterns that seemed to tell a story all their own. Lyrian's expression darkened as he examined the symbols. "This," he murmured, "is no ordinary inscription. These markings speak of an ancient ritual, one that might guide us closer to the city, if we dare to follow its path." And so, with the river ahead and the mysteries of the past whispering behind them, Kaela and Lirien stood at a crossroads. Would the ritual lead them closer to their goal, or plunge them into dangers unforeseen? The answer lay hidden among the shadows, waiting to be uncovered. For now, though, they could only move forward, driven by hope and dogged by doubt. The trail grew steeper as Kaela and Lirien approached the towering mountains, their breaths visible in the crisp morning air. It wasn't long before the sound of hurried footsteps and harsh voices shattered the tranquility. Emerging from the dense forest, ahead was a group of mercenaries, their armor clinking ominously with every stride. At the forefront stood Aric, his scarred face a mask of determination and vengeance. His eyes locked onto Kaela's, revealing a history neither had expected to resurface. These were no ordinary travelers. They too had followed the ancient maps, seeking the treasures hidden within the lost city of Elven wonders. Without warning, the mercenaries charged, weapons glinting in the sunlight. The riverbank became a chaotic battleground, water splashing as the companions fought fiercely to defend themselves. Kaela's sword danced effortlessly, but even her skill couldn't match the overwhelming numbers. Lyrian, wielding his staff with cunning precision, manipulated the surrounding environment, sending vines to trip the attackers and rocks to block their path. But the mercenaries pressed on, relentless in their pursuit. In a moment of desperation, Lirien remembered the river's currents. With a swift motion, he channeled his magic, creating an undertow that swept several attackers downstream. Seizing the opportunity, Kaela dragged them both into the water, using the current to carry them far from the fight. Yet the escape came at a cost. During the melee, Kaela had taken a deep gash to her side, her strength waning with each passing moment. The duo stumbled upon a concealed cave just as darkness descended, its entrance nearly invisible among the rocks. Inside, Lirien tended to Kaela's injury, his hands glowing softly as he whispered ancient incantations to staunch the bleeding. For the first time, Kaela allowed herself to be vulnerable, trusting in Lirien's abilities. Yet as the hours passed, doubt crept into her thoughts. Was she truly strong enough to rely on another, or would this dependency become her undoing? As dawn painted the sky in hues of gold and pink, the two emerged from the cave, their spirits heavy but resolute. They knew they couldn't linger any longer. The mercenaries would surely regroup and continue their chase. Ahead lay a mystical grove, its trees ancient and gnarled, their branches dripping with mist. According to legend, this was the dwelling place of spirits long forgotten, guardians of the land who might hold the key to unlocking the secrets of the lost city. But first, they needed to confront their inner demons. Kaela wrestled with her pride, questioning whether trust could coexist with strength. Lirien, meanwhile, grappled with the burden of responsibility. wondering if his powers were enough to protect them both. Together, they resolved to push forward, knowing that survival depended not only on their physical prowess, but also on their ability to overcome their own fears. The grove beckoned, its air thick with magic and promise. WHIT Chinese, letter ED them within. Only time would tell. But one thing was certain, this journey was far from over. The dense foliage of the grove seemed to whisper secrets as Kaela and Lirien ventured deeper into its embrace. Suddenly, a shimmering figure materialized before them, its features shifting like water caught in moonlight. To proceed, the spirit guardian intoned, "You must prove your worth. Courage, wisdom, and sacrifice will be tested." The air grew heavy with anticipation as the trials began. Kaela found herself standing alone in an ethereal void, facing a vision of her ancestors' proud elven warriors whose stern gazes bore into her soul. "Why have you burdened us with shame?" one phantom demanded, echoing her own doubts about her family's legacy. With trembling resolve, she confronted the weight of their expectations, realizing the past didn't define her path. Through this trial, Kaela emerged stronger, her fears no longer controlling her actions. Meanwhile, Lyrian wrestled with memories of his own. He stood amidst his abandoned people, their sorrow palpable as they accused him of leaving them to face hardship alone. Guilt surged within him, but instead of succumbing, he acknowledged his mistakes and vowed to seek redemption. Though he completed the trial, the experience left him visibly shaken, his heart burdened by the weight of reconciliation. As they left the grove, the spirit guardian appeared once more, gifting them a small crystal etched with glowing runes. Its purpose remained unclear, but its presence hinted at answers tied to the lost city. Kaela watched Lirien closely, now understanding the depth of his struggles, and felt a profound connection form between them. Together, they stepped forward, ready to embrace whatever challenges awaited. Their journey was far from over, but the trials had forged something new within them, a shared determination to uncover the mysteries of elven wonders, no matter the cost. What secrets would the crystal reveal, and how might their sacrifices shape the fate of the realm? The path ahead was uncertain, yet filled with promise. The journey through the Enchanted Realms intensifies as the terrain shifts from dense forests to the jagged cliffs of the Shadowspire Mountains. With every step, the air grows thinner, the winds sharper, and the danger more palpable. Just as Kaela and Lirien think they've prepared for the worst, a sudden avalanche roars down the mountainside, forcing them to make a split-second decision. The choice before them is perilous: retreat back the way they came, or press forward along a narrow, icy ledge that teeters precariously above a yawning abyss. In that moment, trust becomes their greatest ally, as they lean on one another's strength to navigate the treacherous ascent. As they climb higher, their breaths heavy and hearts pounding, Kaela's keen eyes catch sight of something carved into the rock face, a cryptic riddle etched deep into the stone. Her fingers trace the markings, her mind racing to piece together its meaning. Lirien steps in, his knowledge of ancient languages proving invaluable once again. Together, they unravel the puzzle, revealing the location of a hidden tunnel, perhaps a shortcut through the mountains, or maybe a gateway to something far more mysterious. Without hesitation, they step inside, leaving the biting cold behind for the heavy, oppressive silence of the dark passage. The tunnel stretches endlessly before them, its walls damp with condensation, and its air heavy with the weight of secrets long buried. Each footfall echoes ominously, amplifying the tension that hangs in the air. It's here, amidst the crushing quiet, that Kaela begins to feel it a presence, subtle but undeniable. Her instincts scream at her to turn back, yet she pushes forward, unwilling to let fear dictate their path. Lyrian senses her unease and offers a reassuring word, though his own grip on his weapon tightens just a fraction. And then, as the shadows deepen and the corridor narrows, a thought lingers at the edge of Kaela's mind. Could this pursuit be tied to Aric, the enigmatic figure whose actions have set their journey into motion? Is he merely a pawn, or the architect of a grander design? As the faint sound of distant footsteps reverberates through the tunnel, the truth draws ever closer, pulling the pair deeper into the heart of mystery and danger. Through twists and turns, Kaela and Lirien forge ahead, their bond tested and tempered by the trials ahead. But with each revelation, the stakes grow higher, and the line between ally and adversary grows blurrier. What lies beyond this shadowy passage may hold not only answers, but also choices that will define the fate of the Enchanted Realms. Stepping out from the narrow confines of the tunnel, the group finds themselves in an awe-inspiring underground world. The cavern stretches impossibly far in every direction, its ceilings lost in shadow, while the ground glows softly with patches of bioluminescent moss that illuminate their surroundings like a sea of gentle stars. Strange creatures flit about, some no larger than a sparrow, others lumbering silently on padded paws, their eyes reflecting the faint luminescence of the environment. It's a place untouched by time, a world within a world, where nature has crafted beauty unlike anything they've ever seen. As they marvel at the surreal landscape, a sharp voice cuts through the air. "Ah, so you've come to disturb my solitude," says a figure emerging from the shadows. This is Zephyra, a reclusive scholar whose tattered robes and wild hair suggest she hasn't seen civilization or sane company for years. Despite her eccentric demeanor, there's an undeniable intelligence in her piercing gaze, and it becomes clear she knows far more about this place than she lets on. She introduces herself as a lifelong student of the Lost City, its secrets etched deeply into her mind after decades of study. Few return from these caverns unchanged, she warns cryptically, her voice carrying both wisdom and weariness. Zephyra quickly proves invaluable, sketching intricate maps of the cavern's labyrinthine passages and offering insights into the ancient defenses they'll soon face. But it's her cautionary tale about a cursed artifact, a relic said to corrupt even the most noble of souls, that leaves the group shaken. Handle it, and you'll risk unleashing something far beyond your control, she says, her tone unyielding. Her words feel like both a warning and a personal plea, though neither Kaela nor Aric presses her for more details. There's a weight behind her warning, one that resonates deeply with Kaela, who can't help but wonder if Aric's past involvement here might have been tied to this very curse. Speaking of Aric, Zephyra's revelations take an unexpected turn when she accuses him of betrayal. Once her trusted apprentice, he left under mysterious circumstances, taking with him knowledge that could endanger them all. He knows too much, she mutters darkly, "and trust me, knowledge like his comes at a cost." The accusation hangs heavy in the air, stirring unease among the group. Kaela watches Aric closely, searching his face for some sign of guilt, or perhaps innocence, but his expression remains carefully neutral, betraying nothing. Is he truly the ally he claims to be, or does Zephyra's claim hold a kernel of truth? With no other choice, the group accepts Zephyra's offer of safe passage through the caverns. As they set off, following her winding route through the glowing underground maze, Kaela is left with a daunting question. How much do any of them really know about each other? Trust is a fragile thing, especially in a place where even the ground beneath your feet seems alive with secrets. Yet, as the soft glow of the bioluminescent flora bathes the group in pale light, Kaela realizes that trusting someone doesn't always mean believing they're perfect. It means believing they'll fight alongside you, even when the odds seem insurmountable. For now, that's enough, but deep down, she knows this journey is far from over, and the challenges ahead may test them in ways they've yet to imagine. The cavern's labyrinth was no mere maze. It seemed alive, its shifting walls and cleverly concealed traps, pushing Kaela and Lirien to their very limits. Every step forward felt like a gamble, as if the stone itself conspired against them. The air grew heavier with each passing moment, thick with tension and the faint scent of damp earth. It wasn't just about navigating the twists and turns. It was about staying one step ahead of the dangers lurking in the shadows. And then came the moment that tested their bond in ways neither could have anticipated. A sudden tremor shook the ground beneath their feet, sending chunks of stone crashing into the void below. Before either could react, the floor gave way, separating Kaela and Lirien in an instant. Kaela found herself alone, surrounded by unfamiliar passages that seemed to stretch endlessly in every direction. Panic clawed at the edges of her mind, but she pushed it down, tapping into instincts she barely knew she possessed. With sharp focus and unshakable determination, she began piecing together the patterns of the labyrinth, solving puzzles etched into the walls that others might have overlooked. Each solution brought her closer to survival and, perhaps, to Lyrian. Meanwhile, Lyrian faced his own battle. Trapped in a smaller section of the labyrinth, the absence of Kaela's steady presence left him feeling exposed and vulnerable. Fear of isolation had always haunted him, whispering doubts about his ability to stand on his own. But now, with no choice but to confront it head-on, he discovered reserves of courage he never knew he had. He forced himself to stay calm, listening intently for any sign of Kaela's voice echoing through the cavern. Slowly, methodically, he worked his way toward reunification, learning to trust not only his abilities, but also the strength of their partnership. When they finally met again, the reunion was bittersweet. Both were battered, both exhausted, but their eyes spoke volumes of resilience, of growth, of a deeper understanding of what it meant to rely on one another. They acknowledged the truth without words. They weren't merely companions anymore. They were an unbreakable unit, forged in trial and tempered by adversity. Together, they vowed to press onward, knowing that whatever awaited them next would pale in comparison to the challenges they had already overcome. Their journey through the labyrinth was more than a test of wits or agility. It was a crucible that revealed the true depth of their bond. As they emerged from the darkness, the path ahead grew clearer, leading them ever closer to Zephyra and the mysterious artifact hidden within the lost city of Elven wonders. What secrets would this relic hold, and how might it change their quest forever? For now, Kaela and Lirien stood ready, their hearts beating as one, prepared to face whatever surprises lay waiting just beyond the horizon. The trio had only just regrouped with Zephyra when an extraordinary discovery changed their course entirely. Nestled in the heart of a hidden cavern, they unearthed the Heart of Eldrullys, an ancient relic pulsating with energy so potent it seemed to hum in harmony with the world around it. To everyone's surprise, as Kaela approached the artifact, something awakened within her. Streams of golden light erupted from her hands, her voice trembling as she tried to comprehend what was happening. Zephyra, too, was visibly startled. For Kaela, who had never felt even a whisper of magic in her life, this sudden surge of power was both exhilarating and terrifying. But there was little time to process the revelation. Lyrian, ever the stoic guide, took charge, offering to help Kaela harness her newfound abilities. Drawing on lessons passed down through his elven lineage, he began teaching her basic techniques to channel and contain her power. It wasn't easy for Kaela. Every attempt came with the risk of losing control, leaving her frustrated and afraid. Yet, Lyrian's patience and encouragement gave her the courage to keep trying. Magic, he reminded her gently, is not about perfection. It's about understanding your limits and pushing past them. Just as progress seemed within reach, disaster struck. Aric and his mercenaries, having tracked them relentlessly, launched a surprise attack. Their goal, the Heart of Eldrullys. In the chaos that ensued, Aric seized the relic, his greedy hands clutching it tightly as he fled into the night, leaving the trio battered but determined. For Kaela, this failure stung deeply. She couldn't shake the feeling that her inability to protect the relic stemmed from her lack of mastery over her powers. Now, faced with the daunting task of reclaiming the artifact, the group devised a risky plan. Their pursuit would take them into the treacherous volcanic region of Pyroskar, a land where the ground itself seemed alive with molten fury. Each step forward brought with it the threat of eruption, the air thick with ash and heat. Despite the dangers, Kaela realized this journey was more than just about retrieving the relic. It was about confronting her own fears. Could she rise above doubt and prove herself capable, or would the weight of failure crush her spirit entirely? As they ventured deeper into the fiery expanse, one thing became clear. This was no ordinary quest. The Heart of Eldrullys held secrets that could alter the fate of the realm, and its power was growing stronger with every heartbeat. What awaited them beyond the flames remained shrouded in mystery, but one thing was certain: their journey was far from over. The journey through the volcanic terrain proves as treacherous as it is transformative for Kaela. With each step, her connection to the land and its primal forces intensifies. Unpredictable eruptions and fractures ripple through the ground beneath her feet, as if the earth itself reacts to the surge of her power. At first, these disturbances seem random, but as time passes, Kaela begins to realize they are tied to something deeper within her. Amidst the chaos, visions of her ancestors appear, their spectral forms whispering words of encouragement and guidance. Embrace your destiny, they urge, their voices a haunting reminder of the weight she carries. Lirien and Zephyra remain ever vigilant, doing their best to keep Kaela grounded. While her powers spiral out of control, the two friends focus on maintaining clarity and direction. Lyrian's steady hand serves as an anchor for Kaela's wild energy, while Zephyra uses her sharp wit and adaptability to anticipate each new challenge. Together, they press forward despite the obstacles, driven by a shared determination to stop Aric before it's too late. Yet even their unwavering support can't fully shield Kaela from the emotional toll of her emerging abilities. As the trio ventures deeper into the volcanic expanse, their efforts finally bear fruit. From the midst of the smoke-shrouded landscape, they discover Aric's hideout, a dormant crater repurposed into a fortress, bristling with defensive measures. But victory is fleeting when they uncover the chilling truth. Aric has forged an alliance with a rogue faction of Elven warriors, once considered allies of the realm. These warriors, disillusioned by the political fractures within their own kind, now see Kaela's quest as a threat to their cause. The revelation casts a shadow over their mission, forcing the group to reconsider their approach. Kaela finds herself at a crossroads, wrestling with the implications of her actions. The cost of her quest begins to weigh heavily on her shoulders. Is this fight worth the sacrifices it demands? Can she truly balance the burden of her powers with the responsibilities that come with them? As preparations begin for the infiltration of Aric's stronghold, Kaela reflects on the path ahead, knowing that every decision will ripple outward, affecting not just her own fate, but the future of the Enchanted Realms itself. The stakes have never been higher, and the answers she seeks lie hidden within the depths of the enemy's lair. The shadows stretched long as Kaela and her companions moved like wraiths through the labyrinthine corridors of the stronghold. Every footstep was measured, every breath held, as they navigated the treacherous halls laced with Aric's cunning traps. The air hummed with tension, each flicker of light or sound enough to send their hearts racing. Yet it wasn't brute force that guided them. It was strategy, patience, and a shared purpose that kept them moving forward. But even the best laid plans can unravel in an instant. In one fateful moment, their cover was blown, and the group found themselves cornered in a grand hall, bristling with guards and arcane energy. Aric loomed at the forefront, his staff glowing with ominous power, his voice cutting through the silence like a blade. "You've come far," he sneered, "but your journey ends here." Kaela's initial instinct was to charge ahead, to face Aric alone and prove her strength. But something stopped her, a glance at the determined faces of her allies, the quiet confidence in their eyes. It dawned on her then, this fight wasn't about proving herself, it was about protecting those who stood beside her. With a deep breath, she summoned her magic, weaving spells that dazzled and disoriented, buying precious seconds for her friends to turn the tide. The battle raged fiercely, testing not just their combat prowess, but the bonds they'd forged along the way. For every strike Kaela made, her allies covered her back, their trust unshakable. Slowly but surely, they fought their way free, their unity becoming their greatest weapon. And when the dust settled, they emerged victorious, though each carried the weight of the struggle in their hearts. They had secured the relic, but its true purpose revealed itself only after their escape. Inside the ancient artifact lay a map etched with glowing runes, pointing toward the final resting place of the lost city. The discovery ignited a spark of hope within them, fueling their resolve to push forward. Yet it also brought with it a gnawing unease. What would they find waiting for them at the end of their quest? Would uncovering the city bring salvation, or unleash forces beyond their control? As they pressed onward, Kaela couldn't shake the feeling that the true test wasn't merely reaching their destination. It was understanding the cost of what lay ahead, and whether they were truly ready to bear it. But for now, the road stretched before them, filled with questions and possibilities, and Kaela knew one thing for certain: whatever came next, she wouldn't face it alone. The air thickened as Kaela, Lirien, and Zephyra ventured deeper into the enchanted forest. Here, the rules of time and space seemed to unravel, creating an otherworldly landscape where past, present, and future blurred together. For Kaela, this journey wasn't just about finding the lost city. It was a confrontation with herself. As she wandered through the dense undergrowth, images from her childhood began to surface, vivid and unyielding. She found herself standing once more in her grandmother's garden, the scent of blooming lavender wafting around her, even though she knew it was only a memory. Each step she took seemed to tug at forgotten threads of her family's history, weaving them into the tapestry of the present. But Kaela wasn't alone in her introspection. Lyrian, ever the stoic warrior, stumbled upon visions of his own, a battlefield long abandoned, yet still echoing with the cries of those who fell. These glimpses forced him to question his role in what lay ahead. Was he merely a protector, or something more? Meanwhile, Zephyra, the enigmatic archivist, grappled with revelations about her knowledge of ancient lore. Was she prepared to use her understanding of the past to shape the future, even if it meant making sacrifices no one asked of her? As the trio pressed on, the forest began to thin, revealing a clearing bathed in golden light. It was here that they encountered the wood spirits, a tribe of ethereal beings who thrived in harmony with nature. Their leader, a wise and ancient figure named Lirien, stepped forward, his voice carrying the weight of centuries. "You seek knowledge," he intoned, "but knowledge comes at a price. What will you give in exchange for the answers you crave?" Kaela's heart raced. The thought of bartering for guidance unsettled her, yet she knew this could be the key to unlocking the secrets of the lost city. But what would she surrender? A memory, a promise, or perhaps something far greater? Meanwhile, Lirien and Zephyra exchanged uneasy glances, each weighing the implications of such a bargain. Would they stand by Kaela's decision, or would their paths diverge at this crossroads? The wood spirits offered no easy answers, only cryptic warnings about the perils that awaited beyond the forest. Yet, in their guidance, there was an undeniable sense of purpose. With their newfound insights or burdens, the trio prepared to face whatever challenges loomed ahead. And so, with the forest behind them and the unknown stretching before, Kaela steeled herself for the next chapter of her quest. What awaited her next? Only time would tell, a commodity no longer guaranteed within the Enchanted Realms. Kaela stood at the crossroads of her destiny, her heart heavy with the weight of her decision. To secure a path to the lost city of Elven wonders, she had made a bargain with the wood spirits, a deal that demanded the price of her own soul, locked away in a shimmering amulet. The artifact, though small, carried an immense burden, one that gnawed at her spirit with every passing moment. As days turned into nights, the amulet's glow dimmed, mirroring the slow deterioration of Kaela's strength, both within and without. Her once resolute steps faltered, her voice grew softer, and doubt crept into her mind, challenging the very foundation of her resolve. Lyrian, her loyal companion, watched this transformation unfold with a mixture of sorrow and unease. The pact Kaela forged left him questioning her judgment, not out of distrust, but from a place of deep care. Could any treasure, no matter how wondrous, justify such a sacrifice? Yet he knew better than to second-guess Kaela's choices. Her courage and determination had always guided them through their greatest trials. Still, driven by worry and duty, Lirien set out on a quest of his own, not to undo Kaela's decision, but to find a way to ease its toll. Whispers of a cure lingered in the winds, hidden among ancient texts and guarded by those who feared its misuse. It was a race against time, a desperate attempt to restore Kaela before the amulet claimed more than it already had. Meanwhile, Zephyra, ever the scholar and seeker of mysteries, delved further into the secrets of the amulet. Its origins were shrouded in whispers of forgotten lore, each fragment revealing glimpses of its true nature. What had once seemed like a simple tool of binding now revealed itself as a conduit of immense power, capable of reshaping realities if wielded correctly, or destroying those foolish enough to tamper with its magic. Her findings, though incomplete, pointed toward a grim truth. The amulet was not merely a tether for Kaela's soul, it was a living force, consuming her essence to satisfy the demands of the spirits. This revelation only solidified her resolve to uncover a solution, even as she wrestled with the implications of tampering with such forces. Their journey eventually led them to the edge of an ancient lake, its waters still and reflective, mirroring the endless skies above. At its center lay a portal, pulsing faintly with an otherworldly light, the gateway to the lost city they sought. But guarding this passage was a creature of legend, a dragon whose wisdom was as sharp as its claws. Before allowing them entry, it posed a riddle, a test not just of knowledge, but of character and cleverness. Kaela, weakened but undeterred, stepped forward, her mind racing to unravel the enigma. Each word spoken carried the weight of their mission, each answer the key to unlocking the mysteries beyond. As the riddle unfolded, so too did Kaela's inner strength. Though her body bore the scars of her sacrifice, her spirit remained unbroken. Would her answer prove sufficient, or would the portal remain closed, forcing them to reconsider their journey entirely? And what new challenges awaited beyond the portal, now tantalizingly close yet perilously guarded? The answers lay ahead, but for now, Kaela and her companions stood poised on the brink of discovery, their fates intertwined with forces greater than themselves. And so, the story presses onward, each step bringing them closer to the heart of the lost city, while testing the limits of their courage, wisdom, and unity. What lies ahead is as uncertain as the shimmering waters of the lake. But one thing is clear, the journey is far from over. As the group approached the towering dragon-guarded portal, the weight of their journey thus far settled heavily on Kaela's shoulders. Beyond the shimmering threshold lay the lost city of Elven wonders, a place whispered about in ancient lore, yet now shrouded in darkness. What awaited them was far from the glittering spires they had imagined. Instead, chaos reigned as a shadowy elven cult, moved with malicious intent. their eerie chants filling the air as they sought to awaken a dormant god whose return could spell doom for all of Enchanted Realms. The moment they crossed into the outer gates, the battle began. Waves of cultists surged toward them, their dark robes billowing like storm clouds against an impending tempest. Without hesitation, Kaela summoned her powers, unleashing bursts of radiant energy that illuminated the battlefield with fleeting glimpses of hope. Her companions fought valiantly at her side, each bringing their unique strengths to the fray. Together, they managed to push back the relentless tide of attackers, but the fight was far from over. The city's remaining Elven guardians, though few in number, joined forces with Kaela and her companions, their resolve unwavering despite the odds stacked against them. It became clear that this wasn't just a battle for survival. It was a fight to protect the heart of the realm itself. Among these brave warriors was Zephyra, whose wisdom and courage had long been a beacon for those who fought alongside her. As the clash reached its peak, Kaela found herself face to face with one of the cult's most formidable leaders. In that instant, her powers surged to heights she had never known, driven by a fierce determination to protect not only her companions, but the innocent souls trapped within the city walls. Yet, even as she delivered a decisive blow, the cost of victory loomed large. Zephyra, sensing the impending doom of a powerful artifact wielded by the enemy, made the ultimate sacrifice. With a final, selfless act, she hurled herself between the group and the deadly force, vanishing into a cascade of shimmering light. In the wake of her sacrifice, a profound silence fell over the battlefield. The cult's forces, unprepared for such unwavering resistance, faltered and retreated into the shadows from which they came. But the victory rang hollow, a bittersweet triumph tinged with grief. Kaela and Lirien stood together, their hearts heavy with the weight of what they had lost, yet resolved to carry forward the legacy Zephyra had entrusted to them. Her sacrifice had reminded them of the stakes, not just for the city, but for every corner of the realm threatened by forces of darkness. Now, armed with renewed determination and a deeper understanding of their mission, Kaela and her companions prepared to delve deeper into the mysteries of the lost city. They knew the road ahead would be fraught with challenges, but one thing was certain: Zephyra's spirit would guide them, lighting the path through the shadows that still lingered. And so, with heavy hearts yet unyielding spirits, they pressed on, ready to uncover the secrets and safeguard the wonders of this once forgotten place. Beyond the glittering corridors of the lost city, Kaela's journey takes her to a secluded chamber, shrouded in an almost palpable aura of mystery. The air grows heavier with each step, as if the very walls themselves are alive, holding secrets too ancient to comprehend. There, hidden from the eyes of time, she uncovers what legends have whispered about for centuries: the Elven wonders, artifacts said to possess unimaginable power. But with great power comes great peril, and Kaela soon learns that these wonders carry a curse so dire it threatens to unravel the very fabric of reality if mishandled. Lyrian, ever the wise and cautious companion, studies the intricate carvings etched into the walls, their cryptic symbols hinting at the curse's origins. Through painstaking effort, Lirien deciphers a chilling tale written in the echoes of the past. It speaks of a time when greed and ambition corrupted even the purest magic, leading to catastrophic consequences that nearly tore the realm apart. The text warns unequivocally, to wield such power is to risk unleashing chaos upon the world. Now, Kaela faces her most daunting challenge yet. Should she destroy the wonders, erasing their potential to cause harm, but also denying their promise to bring peace? Or should she embrace the dangerous path of using them, trusting herself or someone else to navigate the treacherous waters of their power without succumbing to its darker influences? Each choice pulls her in opposite directions, testing the limits of her resolve and forcing her to confront the inner conflict that has simmered beneath the surface since her quest began. Her duty calls for caution, for safeguarding the realm against disaster, yet her heart yearns for the possibility of fulfilling her lifelong dream, to end the strife plaguing the land once and for all. As hours dwindle into moments, the weight of her decision presses down like an unyielding storm. Can Kaela find a way to balance her responsibilities with her desires, or will the strain push her past her breaking point? The fate of the Enchanted Realms rests not just in her hands, but in the choices she dares to make. And so, the stage is set for a reckoning that will ripple through generations, where the line between heroism and peril blurs, leaving only one truth clear. You can hold the keys to unimaginable power, but possessing it may come at a cost no one could have foreseen. As the weight of the decision pressed down upon her shoulders, Kaela stood at the precipice of destiny, her heart torn between ambition and responsibility. The wonders of the lost city shimmered before her, their beauty almost otherworldly, yet she realized the danger they posed to the realms if left unchecked. With a heavy heart, she chose to seal them away, not for herself, but for the greater good. This act of sacrifice, born from wisdom and courage, ignited a fierce resistance from the remnants of the cult, who were blinded by their own greed. The ensuing battle was unlike anything the realms had ever witnessed. Kaela's powers surged, reaching an unprecedented height as she clashed with the cultists. Each strike, each spell, carried the weight of her resolve, and her mastery grew sharper with every passing moment. It was a spectacle of raw power and unwavering determination, a testament to her evolution, from a seeker of knowledge to a guardian of balance. Against overwhelming odds, she emerged victorious, dismantling the cult's influence and erasing the shadow they had cast over the lands. Through it all, one constant remained: Lyrian, her steadfast companion. His unwavering faith in Kaela never faltered, even when the path seemed darkest. Together, they weathered the storm, their bond forged in the crucible of adversity. As the dust settled and the echoes of battle faded, the two stood amidst the ruins of the conflict, their breath steady despite the turmoil they had endured. In quiet reflection, they acknowledged the sacrifices made, not just their own, but those of countless others who had fought alongside them. The balance had been restored, but at a cost that neither could ignore. Yet amidst the sorrow, there was hope. Kaela and Lirien knew this was not the end, but rather a pause in their unyielding journey. The realms still held mysteries untold, challenges unseen, and opportunities for growth yet to be discovered. And together, they vowed to face whatever lay ahead, their spirits strengthened by the trials they had overcome, and the bond that now bound them closer than ever. For in the Enchanted Realms, legends are never truly finished, they simply evolve. As Kaela steps back into her village, the weight of her journey settles into a quiet resolve. She carries with her not just fragments of the lost city's wisdom, but also a profound sense of responsibility. The villagers, sensing a change in her demeanor, gather around with curiosity and hope. Kaela speaks not of conquest or power, but of collaboration and healing, weaving the ancient knowledge into practices that benefit her people. Her leadership transforms from authority to guidance, her actions reflecting the empathy and understanding she gained in the Enchanted Realms. Lyrian, standing steadfast beside her, has embraced a new path. Once driven by a singular quest, she now sees her role expanded, a guardian of the delicate balance between discovery and preservation. Together, the two women symbolize a shift in the realm's ethos. Their story, whispered through the winds, inspires others to reconsider their own pursuits. The tales of Kaela and Lirien spark movements toward unity and understanding, demonstrating that power need not come at the cost of destruction. Perched atop a hill overlooking the village, Kaela gazes over the lands that stretch beyond the horizon. Her heart swells with gratitude for the lessons learned and the bonds forged. Yet, her mind remains anchored in the knowledge that this is not the end, but a continuation. The cycle of discovery and protection, like the tides, will ebb and flow, requiring vigilance and adaptability. As the sun dips low, casting a golden glow over the land, Kaela knows she is part of something far greater than herself, a legacy of balance and harmony that will endure through the ages. And so, under the watchful eyes of those inspired by their deeds, the spirit of the lost city continues to thrive, whispering secrets to chosen seekers, ever guiding the realms toward a more enlightened future. As Kaela stood atop the ancient stone spire, the golden hues of the sunset painted the horizon in a way that seemed almost magical. She looked out over the lush forests and misty mountains of the Enchanted Realms, her heart swelling with a sense of profound fulfillment. It wasn't the towering elven spires or the shimmering wonders of the lost city that left the deepest mark on her soul. It was the journey itself, the trials she faced, the choices she made, the relationships she nurtured. They had all shaped her into someone stronger, wiser, and more resilient than she ever thought possible. In those moments of quiet reflection, Kaela understood that true treasure isn't always what we find at the end of our quest. Sometimes, it's the people we meet along the way, the lessons we learn, and the courage we discover within ourselves. Sacrifice, trust, and leadership, these were the cornerstones of her adventure. Each challenge tested her, each ally enriched her, and each decision honed her ability to lead with compassion and conviction. The lost city of elven wonders may remain hidden from the world, shrouded in mystery and myth, but its legacy endures, not in gold or gemstones, but in the hearts of those who dare to seek it. For Kaela, the city wasn't just a destination. It was a mirror reflecting her own growth, her own transformation. And as much as she cherished the memories of its splendor, she knew that her greatest discoveries lay not in relics or ruins, but in the bonds she formed and the paths she carved through adversity. A gentle breeze ruffled her hair, carrying with it the faint scent of pine and wildflowers. Kaela smiled, feeling a sense of serene purpose wash over her. Her destiny was no longer tied to a map or a relic. It was bound instead to the relationships she had forged and the principles she had embraced. Ready to face whatever challenges beckoned, she turned her gaze toward the unknown, her heart brimming with hope and determination. And so, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting the Enchanted Realms in twilight hues, Kaela stepped forward, her journey continuing not because the adventure had ended, but because it had only just begun.